Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This time we will present the result of our discussion, namely what is wrong with Indonesian education system from one curricula to other curricula. But before that, let me introduce all the members of the group. They are Nisrinatus with NIM 34, Gading Sekar Wangi with NIM 30, Nurma Juwita with NIM 4, Elsa Alfida Maharani with NIM 12, and Ajeng Tri Nandaningati with NIM 13. There material that we're gonna explain is curriculum problems in Indonesia, advantage and disadvantage of KTSP, advantage of K13, recency, pros and cons of revision K13, and the advantage of the lack of Merdeka Belajar. So the first material is curriculum problems in Indonesia. This material gonna explained by Nisrina. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the time. Some problems in the curriculum in Indonesia. The first, the Indonesian curriculum is too complex. Students will be burdened with a myriad of materials that must be mastered and must strive to understand and pursue the targeted material. This will result in students not understanding all the material being taught. Students will prefer to study the material and only have a cursory understanding of the material. And the second, frequently changed names. The name change is only a mere change which will not change the concept of the curriculum, and there will be no positive impact from changing the Indonesian curriculum. And the third, teachers' difficulties in understanding core competencies or kompetensi inti, and basic competencies atau kompetensi dasar. And the last, teachers fell less trying to implement the 2030 curriculum in their learning activities.
Thank you very much for the explanation. And the next material is gonna explain by Gading Sekarwangi. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the time, Juwita. Okay, before I explain about the advantage and disadvantage of KTSP curriculum, I will explain a little bit about KTSP. KTSP is an operational curriculum that is prepared, developed, and implemented by each education unit by taking into account the competency standards and basic competencies developed by the National Education Standards Agency or BNSP. BNSP is Badan Standar Nasional Pendidikan. KTSP is Kurikulum Tingkat Satuan Pendidikan. Okay, the first is the disadvantages of KTSP curriculum. The first is lack of teacher understanding of the KTSP curriculum, both in terms of concept, formulation, and practice in the field. 2. Leaving gaps in efforts to achieve graduate standards and graduation standards. 3. There are opportunities that result in the disintegration of the nation. The last is the application of reducing study hours in KTSP curriculum has an impact on reducing income. The next is the advantages of KTSP curriculum. The first is KTSP will reduce the heavy burden of student learning. 2. As a means to develop school creativity and a means to develop local excellence in Indonesia. 3. The KTSP curriculum frees schools to develop a curriculum according to the characteristics, needs, and potential of the school. And 4. Activities carried out in the KTSP curriculum use learning media that are more varied, dynamic, and fun. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the explanation. And the next material gonna explain by Ajeng. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you for giving me the time. So I will explain about curriculum 2013. The theme of this curriculum is to produce Indonesian students who are productive, creative, innovative, and effective through the observation of integrated attitude, skill, and knowledge. And the real application of this curriculum is observing, asking, reasoning, and communicating what students have learned. Next, we're gonna talk about the excellent or advantages of this curriculum. First, some of the competencies required are in accordance with the development of needs. For example, character education, active learning methodology, balance of soft skill and also hard skill, and entrepreneurship. Second, the 2013 curriculum is responsive to social change that occur at the local, national, and global levels. For elementary school, the application of attitudes is still within the scope of the surrounding environment, while for junior high school, the level application of attitude is required to be applied to their social environment wherever they are. Meanwhile, for the senior high school, it is required to have a personality attitude that's reflect the personality of the nation in the world relation. Third, demand remediation. This is required for developments are in clear direction. Fourth, does not require a more detailed curriculum document because the government has prepared all components of the curriculum, even textbooks and discussion guidelines are available. 5. The nature of contextual learning. Books and complete documents are prepared in full so that they trigger and encourage teachers to read and apply literacy culture and make teachers have the skill to make lesson plans and apply the scientific approach correctly. 6. Increase teaching motivation by increasing professional, pedagogical, social, and personal competencies. And the last, there is development, character, and character education that has been integrated into all study program. Next, we're gonna talk about weaknesses. First, the concept of the scientific approach is still not understood, especially regarding less applicable learning methods delivered. Second, the government sees as if teachers and students have the same capacity. Third, there is no balance between the orientation of the learning process and result in the 2013 curriculum. Fourth, the 2013 curriculum was determined without any evaluation of the implementation of the previous curriculum, namely KTSP. 5. The integration of subject for the basic education level is not appropriate. 6. The preparation of teaching material has not been coherent according to the student thinking stage. The next, like the previous curriculum, there is no synchronization between mathematics as tool to support other lesson. Next, curriculum content is still too dense. And the last, the standard of the learning process describes a less detailed learning sequence.
Thank you for the great explanation by Ajeng. So the next material gonna explain by Elsa. The time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Juwita. The next material is pros and cons of 2013 revision curriculum. 2013 revision curriculum is an improvement from the previous curriculum. In line with the times, the required curriculum changes to occur. Okay, this is advantage of 2000 revision curriculum. The first is learning is student-centered. So the students become more active and the teacher acts as the facilitator. The second is the assessment is complete, but in cognitive and psychomotor terms and effective. The last is called extracurriculars are required to improve students' character, such as learning or having a higher of knowledge, discipline, tolerance, mutual cooperation, etc. And this is disadvantage of 2013 revision curriculum. The first is teachers who think that their role is only as a facilitator are sometimes misperceived by letting students learn independently. The second is the teacher's time is limited to interacting with students outside the classroom because the time is taken up with a lot of teacher administration. The last is students who don't like sports are not serious because they have to.
Okay, thank you very much for the explanation. So we arrive at the last material. They are the advantage of the leg Merdeka Belajar. So for the advantage of this curriculum, there are the Merdeka Belajar curriculum is considered more simple and intense because the material is essential and develops student competence. This curriculum is considered more free and flexible. For example, high school students will not have interest classes and are free to choose subject as they wish. Schools also have the authority to implement and manage the curriculum according to the interests and talents of students. This curriculum is considered relevant and interactive because the learning process is carried out through project activity. This curriculum better adapts student interest and talent by freeing them to explore themselves more. So for this disadvantage, the Merdeka Belajar curriculum is considered less mature in its preparation. A deeper study and evaluation is needed to be effective and precious in its application. The education system and teachers are not well planned. This can be seen in its implementation, not yet discussing efforts to improve the quality of education. So this curriculum has not been well planned. Lack of human resource and unstructured system. This require more throughout social science and preparation. This curriculum still require more mature preparation because change in the curriculum will certainly confuse student and teacher in carrying out teaching and learning activity. So, for the conclusion of our discussion is the problem of education in Indonesia is the changing curriculum. The changing curriculum certainly aims to find the best education system, but this has many weaknesses. Students and teachers have to adapt many times to change in the curriculum. This is, of course, will be confusing and somewhat disrupting the teaching and learning system. So that's all of the result of our discussion. We hope this gonna hopeful. So if there are mistake, we apologize. The last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.